League, we're going to be seeing Shurale representing the forest and Potatoes representing the garden. I don't think we're going to be throwing to a quick break. I think we're going to be getting right into it, of course. And I'm pretty excited for these teams because, of course, as always, when I get the gig, I'm looking at their standings, how they are, and I mean, if last was a close one, this match could have potential to be a blowout.
Yeah, this is one of those David and Goliath type beat matchups. Once you see the match standings, you'll understand exactly what we're talking about. We're gonna throw them up here on the screen, and it is just a pretty large disparity.
Oh,
34 wins, 6 losses for the Potatoes, a huge win-loss differential in RSC. In the orange, 15 and 25 for. Say it for me again, Sorcerer, so I can listen this time. Really make sure I get it.
no, I can't say it, hon. I feel like I'll do too
I'm
much
sorry.
damage.
You had it so good on the first try, and I missed it.
Oh, I feel like I do too much damage to Shurale if I say it. The Steam standings, because the Potatoes are the Goliaths of the Amateur League, 34 and 6, sitting comfortably in the top of the table. And Shurale, I think that's how I'm supposed to say it. Shurale,
Shurala?
Shurale, Shurale.
That phonetic doesn't help me none. That
I
phonetic
think I think
Shurale?
Shurale.
Shurale?
Um, we'll get it right. We'll get it right. We'll figure out the pronunciation, but more important, Shirley will have to figure out how to deal with the potatoes because in these kind of matchups where it's a David
Shurala.
versus Goliath, you can still take some games off them. And what I found in my experience with RSC, the teams that are able to scrounge some games off those top ones are usually the ones that can eke into playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is just, you know, you come into this kinda playing with house money as a Shirale. I think that's it. I think we've maybe finally confirmed it. But, it is, down to players like Engineer, who is really Engineer and Pineapple, the 2, that duo for, Shirale is, really, pushing all this through. They've been the leading forces. They've gotta find a way to rally the troops as it was here for this amateur team to try to find their way, you know, to a win or two. I think that is a big result for Shurale if they can find even just one. I think is a good win for them against this powerhouse that is the Potatoes.
And for the potatoes, I think they want nothing less than a 4-0 sweep, right?
Yeah,
Because the second place team, it's they got a 3-win lead and they're looking very dominant, but you know it's very important that you have clean series against all these lower table teams because that's how you establish yourself as the team to beat. And so looking towards their roster, pretty solid starting three, I'm gonna say. Salvation, Anachrist, and Dab's status playing most of the games, and Sniper Wolf coming in sometimes as the substitute. Pretty even stats across the board. Gotta say though, it's if I had to pick one player to keep my eye on this game, Salvation, 41.44 shooting percentage. That's pretty impressive in 35 games.
it's a great end there. It's been a really good shooting season for everybody involved this season. And I mean, on the other side, you got a Pineapple. We talked about Engineer and Pineapple a little bit earlier, so it's a kind of the leading duo for the two of them, and then Ethereal Doom OG for RSC and Silk Fu backing them up off the bench as well. They'll probably see a mix of the two of them tonight for the Shurale. We'll have to see what they've got in store for us as I finally took my directions and left the lobby so we can make a new one. We're going to be getting into this game here briefly. Another series of 4 where we get to see all 4 games guaranteed. And amateur, the lower tiers in RSC are always fascinating because no, there's no telling what's going to happen. Like amateur through prospect, anything is on the table. We might get some triple commits in the box. We could get a flip reset. Who knows?
Yep,
It
yep.
could be anything. So it should be a good time.
And I will say, I have to call this out. I did notice an interesting bit of information in the chat HUD. So Dan's the GM for the Forest says that since picking up Doom, they're 13 and 11 in their matches. So that's a different looking team than 15 and 25, bottomish of the table. So this could be actually closer than we think in some of these games, but we'll have to see what the players bring tonight. Game one underway.
A big start here for both these teams. Amateur, the momentum can swing so wildly, so a good start is critical for these teams trying to get out on the front foot, just start to build a lead. These games can be very high scoring. We might not see the low scoring affairs that we had in Challenger, and it's looking like it is going to be the Potatoes that are getting out to the first start. They had a couple whacks down around the blue net, but not quite able to work anything through. Finally, Anachrist finding some space behind the Shurale defense, and it's an early lead here for the Potatoes.
Yeah, Anachrist just gliding the one perfectly past the man, stepping up for the challenge, taking an early lead. Kind of what you expect from the powerhouse team. Love to see how Shurale will respond. Of course, the fun thing with the casting RSC sometimes in these teams is you never know what they're going to bring. It very well could be they're a slow team that takes some time to ramp up, or maybe they're just giving maybe they give the Potatoes a false start, a little bit of an advantage, a head start, in fact, and they're going to shut us up on the desk. We'll have to see though. 4 minutes left to go. No looks on net quite yet. Although Engineer, a bit of a miss on the sidewall. We'll need to leave it for Doom. Popping up past one. Bouncing it past two. We'll probably try and center here for a teammate. Is there a follow-up? There is, but Salvation's there quicker, and so we're going back the other way.
That's a big touch from Salvation, just able to chip that one to the backboard. Nobody can quite jump all the way up for it. It was pretty quick moving, but now it's real. Doom's going to get downfield. A pop here to Pineapple, up over top of the bump attempt. Dab status has got the first to save, but Engineer is going to be there for the follow-up, and just like that, the lead is gone. 1-1 now. Shurale find their first.
Yeah, and credit to Engineer, right? We saw the mistake in front of the Potatoes end. Dabs jumped up for the challenge, misread it, misflipped. Engineer was there, following up, already charging towards the net. And we saw last series, that was the difference maker for Team Aries, having a second man be aggressive here, as there's a second man for Team Shurale. Engineer has his second.
That's a huge second goal as well. Absolutely swinging the momentum, just like was mentioned earlier. An Amateur is just kind of a Pandora's box of what could happen in RSC, and now Shurale throwing two on the board, quick succession, maybe a quick answer as well to get us back to a 0-0 scoreline, but not quite through there. Engineer is going to find the long clearance there for Shurale all the way back in the orange end. Pineapple can't get the 50 on Salvation, but it is still very much forced into the orange side. It's real. Doom is going to end up having a little bit of a back pass here. Anachrist will not be able to make anything of it. It will be dab status to the backboard though, and Engineer will sweep it away pretty confidently. 2 minutes off the clock, 3 goals total. So that's 1 goal lead. I mean, this has been huge for Shurale. I think that after that first goal went in so early, I think it would be really easy to just kind of be like, oh, well, that's this series, like chalk it up for the Potatoes. But Shurale have really come out and answered the bell here through game number 1.
Yeah, they're playing without fear. They're taking it 2 Potatoes in their own end. They're stepping up for challenges. They're going for some solo plays. Pineapple getting one, 50 towards the midfield. The shot from Engineer will be wide. Does draw out 2 players. That's a double commit from Potatoes. This could lead to a shot from Ethereal. Doom up the backboard. Engineer looking for his hat trick. He will find it. 3 for 3. Shurale up 3-1.
Big stuff here from Shurale. 3 goals for Engineer, 2 assists for Doom, and 1 for Pineapple. Doom really getting that goal going, forcing the first save to come out, opening things up, paving the way for Engineer. And now a 2-goal lead for Shurale as we approach the latter stages of this game number 1. If they can get that 1 goal, or that 1 game we talked about being really kind of all that the Shurale needs to feel good about this series, taking a game off Potatoes. If they can get that 1 game in the first game of the series, everything, all bets are off for who's going to take this series after that.
Yeah, I'm going to take that point back there, Hud. I think with the way Shurale's playing, I'm expecting at least 2 wins, maybe even 3, because they are taking it 2 Potatoes as Engineer charging into the net for pumps and demo plays. You love to see that. Of course, I should put the hopium away. There still is 90 seconds left in this game for Potatoes to mount a comeback.
It's not
Anna
hopium, it's
Christ.
just excitement.
It's you know what? I'm always optimistic for the upsets. You know, I always like to be proved wrong when we favor first place teams like Potatoes. So I do hope Shurale can prove me wrong. And the earlier you convert HUD, the more right you look.
Absolutely. I mean, if you know, cashing in on this now, you know, really works out for us, I think we'll look like geniuses. But
Mm-hmm.
Shurale, I mean, they've continued to do it here. They're gonna do it again, getting out in transition quickly, so speedy up and down the pitch, and really catching out those third man presses from Potatoes. I think that is a shot that Salvation has to go for in that situation for Potatoes, but it's perfectly read by Engineer, who's got 4 goals to their name, and with 58 seconds left, it really looks like it's locked up for the blue side.
Yeah, real looking real good. Edge looking real good. Oh my god, that was a read off the ceiling. A massive one at that too, right? So many times, you know, maybe around this rank, people mistouch a put towards the corner, or they'll panic because the defender's right on them. But cool as you like, Engineer slots it perfectly. And I gotta say, I think that's enough of a cushion to work with. They just gotta play some key. They put the ball in the corner, maybe chase one more. Ethereal Doom, a high pop across the net. Won't find its way in, but he's shaved precious seconds off the clock for Potatoes. They're going to need to rally unless they want to give the series away to Shurale. We're looking mighty impressive, HUD.
Yeah, they've really come out swinging here in game number 1. It has been a little bit of a shocker through all of this. I think just looking at the stats coming into this game, but you know, maybe a little bit of trap game energy here for Potatoes, where they might have come in feeling like they could have cruised to an easy 4-0, just like we kind of felt coming into this. And now Shurale has come out and completely made us kind of look silly in our pregame analysis.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. Does Potatoes have the, you know, mental edge that you expect from your champion teams, right? One of the key differences of RSC that, you know, not all players realize in the middle of in the match is that there's no endpoint, right? There's no, it's not a best of 3, best of 5 where there's the deciding matches. You will get to play all 4 games. And so it's really important that you take the time between games to do a full reset, do the regain, as we like to say, focus on the mistakes you made and what you can improve, and just go into the next one feeling comfortable. Right? Don't let the losses in the first one continue out through the series as they might in other formats. And I gotta say, Shurale looking real good, but I want to see someone else besides Engineer do some shooting. Right? That's one thing. It's always nice to see your star player step up and pop off like that. But if Potato starts to respond on that, if they start to pinch Engineer, bumping, demoing him, then maybe they can start to cut the sleeve that Shurale found themselves growing pretty early.
Yeah, it is a good start. I really don't think that you could get a better start if you are Shurale, but like you said, there's still 3 games left in this series, and they still have to get all the way through each one of them. So, still plenty of time here for Potatoes to be able to figure stuff out. And, you know, it's an opportunity for Shurale to maybe continue to surprise some people, really put the rest of Amateur on notice here, being able to knock down one of the top dogs in that tier.
Hmm. Yeah, and I should point out this point. I did a quick check of the standings. Shurale is only 2 wins outside of playoffs at this moment, and so any win they can get off the top team will be crucial for their campaign. We're only 4 matches, 5 including this one, remain. But we're underway into game 2, and off a kickoff, Shurale has the pressure. That's a oh my god, that was a fast pinch, but that will be wide. Pineapple through the corner, can't get it past Anarchist. Ethereal Doom keeping it in. Dab status is pumping it out, but that's a bit of a heavy first touch. Anarchist somewhat getting the beat, actually. There were 3 players back for Shurale, but they will lose.
Yeah, Thrill Doom and Engineer get a little tangled up here in the midfield, and that puts Pineapple in a weird spot. A little bit of panic, and Anachrist gets it done with some ice in the box there. A crisp finish from Anachrist is going to be the first goal on the board here in game number 2. Potatoes take another early lead, almost exactly the same time they scored their singular goal in game number 1. So we'll have to see if they can maybe find more than just 1 goal here in game 2. Looking like they might do just that, but Engineer is going to take that one away. But looked like it was going to be done and dusted, but instead it will be Anachrist that's going to find their second on a little bit of a weird one here in the box.
Yeah, Pineapple's trying to rotate back, and they accidentally bumped Doom, who was coming out of net at the. That is just one of those cavalcades of comedic mishaps that you just gotta chalk up the scuff. Either way, Potatoes probably feeling a bit more comfortable now with a 2-goal lead just a minute in.
Yeah, feeling a little bit more, after game number one, I think there are two paths you can go down. There is the, okay, just a bad game, bad loss, shake it off, get to the next one, or did we really just drop that game? Did we really just drop our only seventh game of the season to this
Oh yeah,
point? And I think that Potatoes very obviously taking the first option is kind of shrugging it off and saying, all right, we're going to get them back on this one. They've got their two on the board and have really looked dominant so far here in game number two. It's another shot from Dab Status that'll be saved away by Engineer, who after popping off in game number one has been pretty quiet so far here in game two, but there finally gets their first shot on goal.
yeah, I was actually gonna comment on that. 2 minutes gone by. You do not want to be shotless. At Salvation looking for the fifth one for Potatoes. Dabs wins the 50 off the backboard, draws out a double commit from Potatoes. If Shurale can get a quick counterattack, which they can't. Good ball in. Now off the backboard, Salvation teeing it up for a teammate. Dark Stabs with a shot, but Doom diving across for the save is good enough to keep it out for now. Going the other way is Pineapple. We'll try and find Engineer, but they find Anarchist first. Now another 1v1. The demo is caught by Doom, but the ball is coming across Shurale's net. Now back the other way. They've stopped the bleeding for now, but they're still down by 2, and we're almost past the halfway minute mark, Hub.
Yeah, it's been tough for them to find any real kind of offense. I think that they're starting to look a little bit better as far as their defensive rotations have been, but they've yet to really piece together what it's going to take to break down this the pressure up towards the midfield of the Potatoes. They've just kind of been a little bit more aggressive here in this second game. They've started to push a little bit harder, and Shurale really not figuring out what the best course of action to be able to get through that midfield line with any kind of consistency, and that's led to the Potatoes just kind of being able to milk this 2-0 lead for a while. They've only given up one shot to Engineer just about a minute ago, and are continuing to threaten with a couple of good looks there. One just going by the wayside, but Dab Status will keep it in the blue end all the way across. Salvation taking their time, not even feeling like they need to put it on frame, just will shoot it right back into the corner, and more time will bleed away.
And sometimes that's the best play, right? If you put it wide of the net, you draw players out because they're assuming it's on net, so they dive for it, and it ends up pulling them out of position. And even if it doesn't go in, or doesn't draw them out of position, you're still wasting time off the clock. Potatoes just gotta keep Shurale heading to their end, and they will take game 2 here and tie the series up. And now a shot for the midfield line, and I thought Pineapple had the save, but they do not. Anarchist has a hat trick.
Anarchist finds 3, very much answering to Engineer's game in game number 1. Now Anarchist leading the way for their team here in game number 2, finding the hat trick, trying to equal the 4-goal game from Engineer in game 1. But it has been all Potatoes for 4 minutes here in game number 2. They've been very aggressive, finding all the touches they need in the box. Salvation almost tries to be the first person not named Anarchist or Engineer to score a goal in this series, but not quite able to find the perfect touch there in the box. An opportunity here for Ethereal Doom to turn, try to put some pressure on the Potatoes for what really could be the first time in this game number 2. Still ball hawking here in the corner is Doom. Another touch to the center. Doom will turn, can't find the 50 on Salvation. 40 seconds left on the clock. A very tall task here for the Shurale here. If they want to find it, Salvation finally is going to make somebody else be on the scorecard here. And that's pretty much the dagger with 33 seconds left.
You were saying a tall task cut. It just got higher for Shurale. 4 goals, 33 seconds is a mountain to climb. And at this point, gotta start playing for either consolidation goals or starting to look at what you need to change, because this is a completely different Potatoes roster, or I should say a completely different style of play Potatoes than we saw in the first game. And maybe I was a little overzealous of changing my prediction because they are looking mighty fearsome. And with 18 seconds left, yeah, this one's done and dusted. Will we see a hero play maybe? Pineapple going for one right now, leaving it for Engineer off the backboard. Is there a double touch there? Is not. An Anarchist going the other way. We'll go for a 1v1, popping it past Doom, getting it past Doom, but it's a bit too high. There's no follow-up either way. The game is done. Potatoes will take game 2, tying the series up.
I mean, I think that is probably what was expected of this. I think that was kind of the win that we expected to see from Potatoes when we looked at the stats at the beginning. Like I think we were kind of expecting this very dominant, very aggressive style of play out of them where they really
Mm-hmm.
just kind of take control, because that is the recipe for success in some of these lower tiers. If you can get a team as just that much quicker, that step ahead of their opponents, they can just choke them out at the midfield line and really win games that way. And I think that was a textbook win from Potatoes in that same kind of like boa constrictor strategy. So it worked out for
Mm-hmm.
them pretty well there. Just really, Shurale barely had any offensive opportunities, and if you can't shoot, you can't score. So I
Yep.
think an easy dub for the Potatoes. And obviously Shurale can do it. We saw them do it in game 1, but I think that if this is how Potatoes play most games, then I think it's going to be tough for Shurale. If this is like an outlier for Potatoes, which I don't think it is, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could see Shurale get back into it. I definitely think Shurale are still in this with a shout, but obviously after a game like that, you've got to kind of lean towards Potatoes to at least take game 3.
Yeah, it's very hard to predict a series when it turns like this, right? Game 1's a blowout, game 2's a blowout. I would, as you said, mentioned, favor the more recent results. Game 1s have, I think, historically been the ones that draw the most upsets. The better team might take a while to get warmed up. And Potatoes are going to take a little more to get warmed up again because they made a substitution during the break HUD. We're going to be seeing Sniper Wolf stepping in for DAP status. So now the question is, Potatoes, how are you going to look with a new lineup?
Yeah, I've never really agreed with the morale or the sensibility of making a substitution after you win a game. This is something that I've stood by since I joined RSC in 2019. So it is just kind of a thing that I've always kind of been a little confused by, why you would take a player or take a lineup that just produced a winning result for you and then change it. Obviously, there are extenuating circumstances where maybe somebody has to get up between games. That is one thing, but I just feel like you don't take the team that's winning, you don't break up the team that's winning, you just run it back until somebody stops them. So maybe this is a needed change. Maybe this is a big tactical linchpin of the Potatoes game plan. But Sniper Wolf, I mean, it's kind of on them here in game number 3 to validate this substitution.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I don't think we're noticing too much of a difference on offense because both Sniper Wolf and DAP status have the 33.3% shooting percentage, right? That's the exact same. So on offense, at least, I'm expecting Sniper Wolf to hold their own. But how will they manage their rotations on defense and through the midfield? Because that's always where it gets a little hairy. Now, we haven't seen a goal yet. 90 seconds gone by. Pineapple going for a dribble. Beats two. Has a man in the midfield to work with. Can Doom put it in? They can't. The diving save from Salvation. But the waterfall down. The finish from Engineer. Shurale will open the scoring.
Finally able to break through. It's still pretty early going in game number 3. It's a great finish from Engineer. He's going to put it underneath the crossbar. Engineer, I think, scoring every goal for Shurale so far in this series. So
Yep.
leading the way in the scoring column for the blue side. I mean, that's what we expected looking at their stats. And if it works for Shurale, it works for Shurale. It's definitely worked for them in spurts here in this series so far. But maybe relying on a single faceted attack is not always the best look. But doesn't really matter when Potatoes, it seems like for the last 7 minutes, have been able to score whenever they want.
Yeah, Ethereal Doom took the ball off of Sniper Wolf, but the touch was heavy, and Anarchist was just going supersonic already. Before I went to their POV, and even before the challenge was complete, they were already going supersonic into the corner, and they get rewarded for that aggression. And now going for a solo play, just destroying them. Anarchist is demolishing Shurale in their end.
Nobody home for the defense of Shurale. Anachrist gets past one. Doom and Engineer both went for mid boosts. Anachrist has got nobody in the way and will drive it straight into the back of the net. A quick turnaround for the Potatoes. Really kind of reminding everybody of how game number 2 went, but Shurale say, oh, you forget how game number 1 went. This is a closer series than everybody thinks that it is, and we are here to prove it. Engineer still the leading scorer, but Ethereal on the dish. Shurale find an equalizer.
Yeah, game 1 was a blowout, game 2 was a blowout, game 3 is turning into a slugfest as 2 minutes have gone by and we've already seen 4 goals. That was dangerous, but Engineer's able to get the save. Now Sniper Wolf off the backboard, pumped out by Doom. Will look to read their own bouncing play, going for the shot 50. Chris there for the recovery. Going now quickly is Pineapple. Putting us back across the line into Sniper Wolf. This is an awkward touch. Engineer wins the consecutive 50. This ball's run across the backboard, letting him keep going. A bunch of fakes on the
somebody hit it.
Pineapple pulled out. Pineapple pulled out the challenge. We remain even.
Somebody hit it. It was right there, so close. Wifties abound in the box, and an opportunity for the Shurale gets left on the pitch. They're looking to try to find it back, but Engineer's drive turned away by Salvation, still tied at 2. There's about 2 minutes remaining here in game number 3. Neither team able to replicate the abounding success, but that's a big bump from Sniper Wolf and a bigger save from Engineer, getting back at the last moment to shove it to the corner. Pineapple a little bit out of sorts, a bounce off the post from Salvation, and both teams have been so close and just not quite been able to finish. Anachrist again denied by the woodwork, and even with the demos and the bumps, Potatoes still can't break through. Ethereal Doom has that one 50'd away by Salvation. A little bit of a double commit is going to push Shurale back onto their heels for a moment, but Doom does a great job all the way forward to slow that one down. 90 seconds left, 80 seconds left here, and what looks like it might be overtime approaching, but that's a long shot from Salvation, and a miscue from Shurale was going to be the lead for the Potatoes.
Oh, not like this. Some last-minute tragedy from Shurale. 2 cars back, no one in a good position to read it. You have to be so careful with your third man positioning. But that goal aside, Hunt, this is turning into an absolute brawl. And right off a kickoff, we're getting even more shots. So even though it's 1-goal game for Potatoes, I don't think Shurale's out of it. I think they might have something left in the tank for us.
They've gotta push here. Their time not on their side. I mean, they definitely still have some to work with, but not a whole lot of opportunities to dally, especially if they want to have a look at trying to win this one in regulation. But Sniper Wolf is just gonna park the bus, sitting in the mouth of the goal, waiting for that one to come across the middle of the field, goes after it, and just are going to turtle up in their own end. Salvation playing all the way back in midfield. A mistouch from Pineapple. The desperation trying to find the clear is going to end up being a 4th goal here. Anachrist puts in number 3, and that one might wrap this one up for Potatoes.
Oh, an unforced error out of Pineapple. They had so much time to work with, but maybe the sound cues confused them, and so they dive across the net and put it in their own. Unfortunate. And 30 seconds left, 2 goals is certainly doable, can be done, but that is a demoralizing way to find yourself down this late in the game.
Yeah, definitely not the nice feeling that you get when you can lead your team to a victory that you probably shouldn't be having. But Shurale have had success here in game number 3. It has just been the errors that they have run into, like we see again here as a 5th is found for the Potatoes. They're just really pushing, and it is really not working out in their favor. They're really having to throw everything they've got, trying to break down this Potatoes defense, and Potatoes have done a great job at turning that one back around on them, that momentum back around on them, and really capitalizing on those aggressive pushes.
Yep, and that'll pay off for them in the end here. A minute rush of goals for Potatoes will seal game 3 in their favor, moving up 2-1 in the series, and pushing us to a game 4 that, gotta be honest, I didn't have the outlook on the series I do now as I did at the beginning from that Shurale win. So this is looking real scary now, Hunt. I'm starting to see why this is the #1 team in amateur.
Yeah, and I saw in chat when I was wondering why Sniper Wolf coming in after a win. The response that I saw was, when you locked up a playoffs of matches ago, everybody plays. And I think that is a very valid point. Potatoes have been, I mean, dominant, I feel like is an understatement. They have really been head, far and large the best team in amateur. They've only lost 7 games through tonight. So, on a season in which you play like 60 games over the course of the entire season, I think that's pretty
Hmm.
impressive. I think the numbers don't lie there for Potatoes, but Shurale, I mean, it has not been like it's not been inevitable for the Potatoes. There have not really been,
Hmm.
any points in this series where it's just been like, oh, Potatoes are going to win. Like Shurale have absolutely made this one close. They've made Potatoes fight for every goal that they've found, maybe excluding 1 or 2 at the end of that last game. But I
Hmm.
still think this game number 4 is just as much of a trap game for Potatoes as game number 1 was.
100%, Hud. Again, you factor like sometimes it's easy to get swayed by the recency bias, but for the first 3.5 minutes, that was a slugfest, right? It was either a one-goal game or an even game, and it was just that avalanching last minute of mistakes that gave Potatoes the win. So if Shirelle can regain, as a double commit on kickoff does happen, if they can regain and settle their defense, they can still take a game and get this a 2-2 series.
But they were really trying hard to make all of that gassing them up that we were doing just be for nothing immediately. But they managed to get out of it unscathed and actually turn it into an offensive look. Engineer was close to being able to find an angle there, but instead it's going to be Salvation gets a pop up and over. Pineapple fills the gap very well, and 30 seconds gone. I think this is a pretty good start for the
Oh,
Potatoes, and now it's a perfect start for the Potatoes. Salvation finds a loose ball outside the box, rifles it in on the first touch, and it's a lead that very well could not go away here in game 4.
and that is great third man positioning. Salvation was lurking on that far side of the field in case the ball came across, in case the ball squeaked out, and was even in a position to hustle back if it broke quickly the other way. So, positioning again, favoring the Potatoes. Miss a catch now. This could be a chance for Shurale to respond quickly. Engineer will beat one and put in the corner into Sniper Wolf, though. Soft touch, looking to collect it now. Out to Pineapple, putting off the backboard. Is there a fall for Team Shurale? There is not quite yet. The 50, though, will push it back towards Pineapple, going for a solo play. Running out of boost, though. They won't be able to get past the person in net. Still in Potatoes' corner now, but not for long as Anarchist looking to get the dribble going, looking to get it past one. Can't get it past Pineapple again, keeping it in for Shurale. They do not want this ball in the blue end for too long.
Now they don't want it to sit down here for very long because Shurale have been able to just kind of find goals out of thin air. They've not let Potatoes just be able to go asleep on the defensive end. They've still, really been fighting and pressing. So opportunities still abounding here for Shurale downfield. They're only down by 1. There's still a ton of time left, and they have absolutely not let themselves drop out of this game mentally. They're still trying to find those looks. Engineer's going to take this one away from Anarchist, which is a good stop. Sniper Wolf, a lobber, and they're always tough to read when they loop in like that, but Ethereal Doom is going to have the clutch save on the backboard. A little bit of a miscommunication on the exit, but a big 50 by Ethereal. At least going to push it a little bit further back, giving some time for Pineapple on the charge into the corner. Boost stolen, center ball for Engineer, taken away by Anarchist. The follow-up from Ethereal Doom, not in time. Salvation's got the clearance downfield, and Potatoes will continue to hold on to this 1-goal lead. Centering ball out to Sniper Wolf. Ethereal Doom with a huge save off the crossbar, and Shurale escape again, keeping this one a 1-goal game.
They are holding on with tooth and nail right now, as they do not want to go down 3-1 in the series. They do not want this lead to balloon further than it already has. But Potatoes looking real solid, and again, the clock is still ticking down, and every play they make, every time they slow the ball down, is less time for Shurale to mount their comeback. In Potatoes' corner, Doom with the high lofting shot. Is there a follow-up? No, there's not. Salvation controlling it. Pineapple 50, pushing it towards the net. No second man. A double commit for Potatoes is an opening potentially, but no one is there to put it away for Team Shurale. Now we're going the other way. Anarchist putting in the corner. Pineapple there. Oh, faking past the ball. This ball behind in front of Shurale's net. Quick shot from Stabrolf. No, actually flying by the ball. Salvation keeps it going though. Now ball bounced towards Pineapple. A long beat here. put safely away though from Potatoes. They are quickly able to regain their defensive positioning. Or did I misspeak? No, the tempo from Anarchrist solidifies the defense and they can get the attack going. Not for long. Engineer keeping the ball in the corner. We have been in the Potatoes corner for so long this game, but we're not able to leave it. Ethereal Doom does get a chance on net, but Salvation's able to push a ride.
What a great sequence here for the Shurale. They're on their game, pushing forward, but the defense has been so big for Potatoes, and there's a big gaff. Sniper Wolf, I had the entire goal to shoot at. He didn't put it away. Only 1 goal lead. You got to find an insurance goal there if you're Sniper Wolf. Now Shurale may be able to get a little bit of a pop there. They might have had their heads down. A centering ball from Doom is not going to be able to be shot by the offensive Shurale all the way back downfield from Anarchrist. Engineer up first, 50s it off of Salvation. Sniper Wolf playing permanent keeper here is going to play an awkward ball to the backboard. Anarchrist a pretty easy read. Ethereal Doom looking for Engineer. Will at least get there. The ball is going to stay in the orange end, and Potatoes going to have to continue to deal with this Shurale attack. Centering ball for Doom, but Pineapple would also jump, so it's just a double commit, but Engineer's gonna slot it home forward on the forecheck. 21 seconds left, and Shurale make Potatoes pay.
Absolute chaos in front of the Potatoes net, and Engineer coming in clutch for Shurale, finding another goal for them. He has all, if not all, the goals for them this series, but this kickoff will go the way of Potatoes. Sniper Wolf going too quickly though, will fly by the ball, goes towards Engineer. In the corner now, slow playing it, popping up for a dribble now, getting over one, downwing two, they've got an open net to work with, they drove by the ball though, Sniper Wolf centering it for Shurale, Pineapple putting it back in the corner, we'll look to get another touch, no, Sniper Wolf putting off the sidewall, and it looks like we're going to be going to overtime, unless the players want to keep it up. No, they do not. Ball in the corner, we're going to overtime, game 4, once again, HUD.
For the content, although it is very much the historical thing. This could be a short one though. Sniper Wolf looking to try to make up for the open net that they missed in the regulation to score in the early overtime winner. Not quite able to find it. Ethereal Doom had it out over midfield, and Pineapple is going to keep it into the orange end and continue through, looking for some bumps. At least slows Salvation down for a moment, but Salvation will win it cleanly up over Engineer. Pineapple falling into rotation to turn this one away from Salvation, and now an opportunity maybe with some space. Gets a good 50 on Sniper Wolf. Engineer out with some speed. A big demo. Is this one on target? Not quite off the post. Salvation, the follow-up off the crossbar, and Engineer has it all the way out. A pinch towards the midfield line. It will be completed by Engineer here, and a close call for Shurale. Still very much on the attack here are the Potatoes. Pineapple makes that save from Anarchrist, and another centering ball with Real Doom will have this one. A minute has elapsed in overtime, and Shurale have really been on the back foot so far. They found a counterattack opportunity here, but have not been able to find any shots quite yet in this extra time.
Man, the desperate diving defense out of Potatoes is enough, but oh no, an overcommit from the third man, and Sniper Wolf will prove his name right. The long bomb from the midfield line. Potatoes will take it in overtime.
Oh, such a rough challenge from Doom. Turns on that one, had 2 men back to defend in rotation, and a 50 just as unfortunate as it gets. I feel like that one hurts more than a pinch that just lasers straight into the back of your own goal. It just kind of lazily floats in, and Potatoes come out of it with a 3-1. But Shurale almost split this series. Like, it very much so almost split this series. Like, this is a massive result from a team that coming into this one was the heavy underdogs, and we almost saw them take it 2-2. I think that if, you know, there is Potatoes are kind of just coasting through the rest of the season. This is a huge confident boost for Shurale, even though they couldn't quite pull out that second win.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're still in playoff contention, but I gotta say, I think they might be striking fear in their opponents' hearts because if that's how they're playing against the top team, if they're dragging them to overtimes, if they're blowing them out in game 1, then anything's still possible this season as there are still match days remaining and anything can happen in RSC. But that was our last match of the night, HUD. So we've got, we should be doing some closing words. Everyone probably wants to go to bed. So I just want to say thank you, HUD, for casting with me. Thank you, Paul, for running the show. Thank you, everyone, for playing. RSC, that's the last match for this week, but we'll be picking up next week on June 27th. So hope you guys will come back for that. HUD, do you got any last words to say?
I always have last words to say, but I will keep it short tonight. Thank you, Shurale, for casting with me as well. Pollock, again, kudos to running everything behind the plate. And yeah, make sure you guys are back here on the 27th. There's always great matchups. We're really winding down